2003, in an interview with David Hopp for Nouveau, famous writer Kurt Vonnegut, whose works had resonated with a generation critical of the Vietnam War, said this of the period. During the Vietnam War, every respectable artist in this country was against the war. It was like a laser beam. We were all aimed in the same direction. The power of this weapon turns out to be that of a custard pie, dropped from a stepladder 6 feet high. In a way, The Witcher's naive, short-sighted and vain bard is the perfect encapsulation of the artist as self-important and misguided, yet perhaps not unsympathetic. Dandelion as a character is present in the series as Geralt himself, and their odd couple friendship is at the heart of many parts. The only person who seems to get in more shagging than Geralt himself, Dandelion is The Witcher 3's narrator, both in its loading screen recaps and its journal entries, an ode to his embellished recounting of Geralt's adventures to crowds in the novels. As such, Geralt's story is often reframed from Dandelion's romantic worldview. We're not long in Novigrad before we have Dandelion's new love Priscilla, an accomplished troubadouress, perform Woven Storm, a song about a witcher's love for a powerful sorceress.
These scars long have yearned for your tender caress, to bind our fortunes. Damn what the stars are. Rend my heart open, then your love profess, a winding, weaving fate to which we both atone. You flee, my dream come the morning. Your scent, berries tart, lilac sweet.
Geralt's messy lived experience and relationship with Yennefer that we know is not the love story shared with the rest of the world. Dandelion sees only the beauty and romance in Geralt's troubled life. The Witcher and the Bard are apart for the majority of the game due to his being held prisoner by the Temple Guard, but his presence accompanies us throughout the entire story, and at each turn Dandelion is the voice of one of its overarching themes: change. Dandelion has been tangled up helping Ciri, but he's also come into possession of a tavern that was formerly a brothel, through which the notoriously vagabond bard has finally put down roots and integrated into Novigrad's cosmopolitan community.
Despite what people say about him, Dandelion approaches life very rationally.
True enough. Adheres to the principle that a life enjoyed is a life well lived.
You needn't mock.
I'm not. I mean that. Nothing wrong with the principle. Dandelion just knows how to enjoy life. It's a good thing.
Dandelion can also be responsible. He always pays anyone who works for him on time, and he's never missed a performance.
Across the city is united a variety of artists in the hopes of turning the tide of power in the city. Dandelion is as naive and impulsive as ever, but he remains an idealist. Where Geralt takes the world as it is, wrestling with all its complexities, Dandelion is hopeful, envisioning a better world altogether. He sees the best in people, looking for their talents, and tries to enjoy himself along the way too. Their relationship continues then because in spite of their bickering and vastly different life experiences, the two simply bring out the best in each other. Geralt keeps Dandelion down to earth while Dandelion lifts Geralt up a little. The Witcher 3 does something clever though, and doesn't have Dandelion act as our introduction to the artist world of Novigrad. Without his pomp, we're able to take it in as is, and the game is happy as a surprise. While much of Dandelion's vanity and naivety can be found here, there is also camaraderie between the various groups. And unlike the rest of Novigrad, which is descending further into isolationism and prejudice, the artists are reaching out to the marginalised and offering them refuge. This becomes a major plot point when to reach Dandelion, Geralt must reach out to a changeling known as Dudu. Nobody laughs at this name once in the game, and it shows the incredible integrity and talent of every voice actor involved. And to bring this changeling out of hiding in a city keen to kill anyone who isn't human, they hatch a plan to reach him through a play.
Gathered are we, a host fair and noble, to celebrate this day, the princess's betrothal.
Alas, no monster do I see or hear. Perhaps midst the guests he hides, in fear.
Any piece of art that detours into discussing art itself risks all kinds of pretense, but I think The Witcher 3 takes a measured approach. For a start, the heart of its idealism and belief in the power of art is Dandelion, a man who's ridiculed and humiliated much more often than proven right. Your plan is also hatched as a practical one. A coded message will be hidden in the play to speak directly to Dudu. Any hopes of changing hearts and minds is purely incidental to the trick. But therein lies something of a poignant sentiment. Because when I think of art and its influence on the world, that Vonnegut quote often comes to mind. Any notion of changing the world through art seems woefully naive. The Witcher 3 offers a hopeful perspective in the matter though, that perhaps great art isn't made to change an entire crowd, but instead to reach one person in it, make change in an individual, not the masses. After all, it's no accident this play occurs in the same theatre in which the plotter to assassinate King Radovid, the engine behind many of the city's current troubles, will gather. A plan that reaches fruition not through turning the masses against the king, but by binding together a variety of disparate people. In Dandelion's Tavern, those same groups are brought together, the marginalised, the powerless, and idealists, all coming together, all banding together for a shared cause. Important change isn't inevitable in the world of The Witcher. Powerful forces like the Church of Eternal Fire fight it intensely, but as the game constantly shows throughout, with the unexpected consequences of each of Geralt's seemingly small choices, every person makes a difference, whether they know it or not.
Never mentioned wanting to change the name.
Rosemary and Thyme wasn't all bad, but it conjured images of Temerian cuisine served by waitresses in peasant garb. Chameleon's a lot better for a cabaret, apart from which it emphasizes that the place has undergone a transformation. Just a better ring to it all round.
Dandelion calls his tavern the Chameleon, a symbol that is at once about camouflage and hiding, though this is apparently not scientifically true, but also about bringing many different stripes under one roof. And that's the mission of Geralt and the player here in Novigrad. Not to turn the tide, not to overthrow the powers ruling in Novigrad, but to reach just one person and let them know they're not alone.
Don't be afraid. In the end, everyone will live happily ever after.